What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. We got one more semifinal to talk to you about at the Madrid Masters. That is Blockx versus Zverev. Let's take a look at the matchup. And here's a look at our semifinal between Alexander Blockx and Alexander Zverev. Blockx able to get through a straight set win over Casper Ruud. The first set was some high-level tennis from both guys. Really enjoyable stuff. Block's able to get out to a break lead early on. And, guys, we always talk about that. What's the biggest thing that an underdog needs? They need to have that scoreboard pressure. The last thing they want to do is go down an early break, which Block's had been threatened to do that here. Ruud had a break point in his first service game. He holds and is able to break Ruud and put a little bit of that scoreboard pressure on. That allows the nerves to kind of loosen up a little bit. But we see Casper Ruud is just knocking on the door every single one of these block service games, trying to get the break. He finally does at 4-all and gets it back. And you start to think this match feels like it's about to turn towards Casper Ruud. Ruud, the defending champion. But then we see a tremendous game by Blockx to break Ruud right back and then serve out the match. Or serve out the set, sorry. And just impressive stuff, The one thing that stood out to me the most here that I felt like I underestimated a lot from Alexander Blockx, not the fact, he was going toe-to-toe with Casper Ruud on the baseline here. The one thing that stood out to me the most was the speed of Alexander Blockx. I know we always talk about the power that's coming off the racket, but he was moving so well to get to these Casper Ruud drop shots, which by no means are easy to get to. We saw for this whole tournament, guys struggling to get to those. And Blockx is getting to them with ease. He's redropping. He's hitting winners. I mean, just impressive stuff from him all around in this game. Second set, another clutch set from Alexander Blockx. He's able to get the break later on in the set. And then has a chance to break Casper Ruud again and win the match. Doesn't convert on those points. And you kind of think, oh boy, is it going to be a nervy finish here? And then Blockx is just able to hold at 15 to win 6-4, 6-4 over Casper Ruud. A tremendous victory for him. We've seen some good clay court victories from Alexander Blockx, but this by far tops all of them, taking out the defending champion. A great win as he advances to the semifinals. And he will play Alexander Zverev, who was able to get his revenge match over Flavio Cobolli, 6-1, 6-4. And this match, guys, we talked about what was Zverev going to do different? How was he going to change something? It's only been a week since these guys played, and it was a 6-3, 6-3 win for Flavio Cobolli a week ago. And now Zverev is able to turn the tables here and get back on track. Something that we talked about really looking for. Is he going to be able to refocus and kind of get going here? Maybe potentially a chance to make a final in Madrid. Zverev comes out, and in about the first 10 minutes, he's up 4-0. Within the blink of an eye, it's 4-0. You can tell he was hyper-focused today. He was ready to go. Cobolli, a little bit of a slow start coming out of the gate. And then we start to see the points get a little bit longer. But the one thing that stood out to me the most from Zverev was that forehand today. How many times did we see him hit that forehand on the line? That inside-out forehand where he's going out to the Cobolli backhand. He was hitting so many shots just very close to the line. We saw him miss a lot of those in Munich. And today he was able to get a lot of those in. And that kind of made a lot of the difference. He's able to dictate a little bit more on the forehand side. We know the backhand of Zverev's always extremely solid. And then the one thing that stood out a lot to me, obviously the serve was so much better. That was one thing. But the one thing that stood out to me was the speed of Zverev, something that we don't talk about a lot. And I do think the movement on the clay with his size is a little bit challenged. But his speed today was very good. The way he tracked down a lot of those Cobolli forehands, those are no joke. Cobolli is hitting those. He is rocking those forehands. And Zverev's able to get a lot of those back, play some more balls, put some more balls in play, and just get through some of these longer rallies against Cobolli. Very impressive stuff from Zverev to turn this match around. The second set, a lot closer. And these guys were back and forth at 4-all. Zverev was able to get the break against Cobolli with a very nice game from him. And then he goes down 15-40 in the next game on his serve. And you think, oh boy, here we go. Exactly what we saw against, Menchik. Against, we see this all the time against Cerundolo back in Munich. Zverev's up, he's controlling. And then all of a sudden now we see the errors start to creep in. But Zverev, with a couple of big serves, a couple of big forehands, is able to close out the match and win 6-1, 6-4 over Flavio Cobolli. A great win for him to get back on track in this clay season. Now he takes on Alexander Blockx, and no head-to-head for these guys here. We got Alexander Blockx coming in. He's 10-2 on the clay, 4-4 last year, 7-3 the year before. But important to note, this is Alexander Block's real first year on the ATP Tour. Played a lot of challengers and ITFs in the previous years. Zverev, on the other hand, he's coming in at 10-2 on the clay, 18-7 last year, 23-6 the year before. And he is playing extremely strong tennis on the clay. To me, both these guys have really peaked here. I thought that Casper Ruud match from Alexander Blockx was probably the best match I've seen from him this tournament. And conversely, the Cobolli match for Zverev was the best match I've seen from him this tournament and probably the entire clay season from Zverev. So he's playing good tennis right now at the right time. Zverev able to get through Novoni in 3 sets, Atman in straight sets, Menchik in 3 sets, and Cobolli in straights. Blockx able to get through Garin in 3 sets, Nakashima in 3 sets, Felix Auger-Aliassime in straight sets, Cerundolo in straight sets, and Casper Ruud in straight sets. Block's 2 losses coming to Ben Shelton in straight sets, and we remember how well Ben played there, and that match really did feel like it was turning towards the end of it, and Ben able to survive in that breaker, 10-8 in the tiebreak of the second set. And I honestly think if that went 3, it was going to be Block's match. And Block's also able to Block's losing to Alex de Minaur 7-5, 7-6. Zverev, on the other hand, his 2 losses, one to Cobolli, 6-3, 6-3 in Munich last week, and then a 6-1, 6-4 loss to Sinner. Couple of keys here, guys, for me. Number 1, Zverev's got to keep the points short. I think the surplus 1 is so important for him. I don't think he's going to want to get into these extended rallies against Alexander Blockx, because we just saw Blockx kind of dominate a lot of these rallies against Casper Ruud. And Casper Ruud's got a great forehand. He's got all those RPMs coming off that forehand. But I just feel like the serve percentage, the first serve percentage has got to be high for Zverev. We're talking 70s plus for him. He's got to be able to control the court with the forehand after that. I think if Blockx is able to get him into some longer rallies, it's going to be advantage Blockx. I do think the speed of Alexander Blockx is going to bother Zverev. I think what I saw today, I don't think the drop shot is an option for Alexander Zverev. I think he's got to really rely on the ground strokes. 1, being able to wrong foot Blockx. 2, being able to come to net and put some balls away, kind of rush Alexander Blockx, not get him comfortable. How many times did we see Ben Shelton able to do something like that, where he was able to rush Blockx and not let him get into these extended rallies and play some of these longer points where he's kind of moving back and forth and using his athleticism. For me, the whole thing comes down to how is Blockx going to handle the Zverev serve? And I feel like I've said this in like 10 different ways already now. But that to me is the main factor, the main key in this match. This is going to be the best serve that Blockx has seen maybe all clay season. Obviously, the Shelton serve we know is extremely strong. The Felix serve is pretty good, but usually a better serve on the hard courts. But for me, this is going to be a very strong serve. If Blockx can get a lot of these first serves back in play and kind of level out, we talked about that winning the percentage of first serves, but winning percentage on the first serve. I think Zverev was at like high 80s today. I think he was at like 85 today against Cobolli. Every time he got the first serve in, he was winning the point. If Blockx can get that down to about 70, I feel like he's got a really good shot at winning this match. You know, I think it's funny, the quarterfinals all were straight set matches. And I think these two semis are both going to be wars. I think this is going to be a 3-set match. And I got to stick with the guy that I had said to start this tournament. I said he was going to make the final. And that's Alexander Zverev. So I'm going to go with Zverev to win this match in 3. Can I see Blockx winning it? Yes. Yes, I can. I 100% can. Let me see if the odds are up here. Let's take a look at the odds and see. I know we don't do this very often, but honestly, I think it's kind of a big tell. I mean, Blockx was like, remember we talked about Casper Ruud, minus 300 for Casper Ruud against Alexander Blockx, and I told you guys there is no way that match was not going to be a close match between the two. Like I was shocked that they were not giving Blockx. But remember, he doesn't have a big sample size, right? When you're looking at these all these odds, they're based on algorithms. So when you don't have a large sample size, you don't know what this guy's going to do. It's hard to line it. I'm seeing Zverev at minus 400. Guys, I don't agree with that at all. Like I feel like we're splitting hairs here. Is Zverev going to come out and win 2-2? I don't think so. You know, I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to win this in straight sets. I think Blockx is going to have something to say about it. But I'm going to go with Zverev, guys. We talked about this at the beginning of the tournament. I told you I liked the way this draw looked for Zverev. I thought this was a big opportunity, especially after that Munich loss, for him to kind of get back on track here and get ready to go for the French Open. We now have Carlos Alcaraz on the sidelines. So it's Zverev's opportunity to potentially make another Grand Slam final. Yes, of course, he's probably going to face Jannik Sinner, and it's going to be a difficult match. But at the very least, for him to get there, I think would be a tremendous feat and potentially push Sinner. We have to see. He has to be able to do that. If he loses in like the round of 16, I think that's an unsuccessful season for him. But this is a ton of opportunity, and it starts here today. He's going to beat Blockx. He'll make it to the finals. He's going to play Sinner. He's probably going to lose. But the best thing about playing Sinner before you play him in Roland Garros is now you have a few notes that you can take about what you did right and what you did wrong. And you can kind of analyze that match a little bit so the next time you face him in potentially a Grand Slam final, you can potentially make some corrections. Right now, I'm going with Zverev. He's going to win this match in 3 sets. Here's a look at our quarterfinal records. 3-1 for me, 1-1 for Pamplemousse. No 3-setters in the quarters. All pretty straightforward matches. Obviously, we missed the one Blockx match. A great win for Alexander Blockx. We'll see if we can match our records in the semifinals. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your opinions in the comments. Share the video. We will have a video out for every single day of the Madrid Masters, recapping and talking about the picks coming up. So look out for those to keep up on everything tennis. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.